I'm also here if you didn't hear me announce.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Miss Dog. Did Todd say we have a quorum?
Yes, Todd said we have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
That's 5, so we have a quorum.
Okay.
I think we're technically 9
All right,
now.
meeting called to order at 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
Item number 2, roll call. I'm
It's
present.
6
Dr.
p.m. here.
Garcia.
Tell them it's 6 p.m. in there.
I hear.
Vanessa Navarrete. Jesse Arroyo.
She's excused.
Jim Shane.
Here.
Caitlin Commissar. Janine Vortex.
Here.
And Brian Cephala. Present from somewhere in the middle of the desert.
That's where we want you.
All right, item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're in person. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item 4, consent agenda. Pursuant to section 246B, matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the chairperson will ask whether any members of the committee request any items may be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion. 1, approval of minutes of CDC regular session minutes of March 27, 2025.
Yeah, I move we approve the minutes.
Mr. Burke.
I second.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, new business, projects. A, discussion/update on the Queen Creek working project.
Okay, so update on the Queen Creek Working Project. The Queen Creek Working Group has met twice. The latest one was this week. We went over the upcoming report and talked about format. We got a presentation from another working group about how their experience and how they went about it. I don't remember the name. The next work session, we'll start actually throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what projects we want to start working on or start planning on. And then the project will be completed in June of next year. So we have to go through all the stages of putting up ideas, studying those ideas, picking which ones go in the report, studying those ideas out as far as we can, scoping on them to a certain amount, and then putting them into the final report and selecting our final options. So all of that work, it's pretty similar to like an EIS or something. It's the same sort of basic format. So that work will be happening over the next year.
So Todd, the end result though is actually a watershed plan, right?
Yes, it'll be a plan with a bunch of a bunch of projects that we can have enough information on to take and write grants on and get funded. The whole point of this phase is to get you to fundable projects. Any other questions?
No, sounds good.
Queen Creek Bridge Project. I'm sorry, Chairman, do you want me to move on to the next one?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Queen Creek Bridge. That one is out of our control to a certain extent. They are well beyond schedule. I'm told that the blasting is not going well. we can all see when you drive past there, they're hitting voids. They did pave it this week at least, so you can drive through there. But that may or may not be a bad sign, because that means that they've got quite a bit of time before they actually can pave it properly. So the project has had a wrinkle for the town. They had, in all these scoping for about 2 years, we had lots of conversations about where the hauling would go, where the material would go. There were several. The Defiance pit outside of town was the preferred alternative. They did a whole bunch of environmental reports on it. It was all ready to go. They hired a new contractor. Contractor said that's on a dirt road and it would cost us too much, so we're just going to run it through town. And they're going to give it to the Autonetto pit, the SMS pit. They didn't tell us that. They didn't do any environmentals on it. They just started hauling without telling anybody. We, because we didn't know, started the Panther Bridge project. So instead of taking all that hauling down the highway and then going across 100 yards of Panther, they went down Sunset through or past the school while school is in session, and they've hauled 30,000 yards of material down that road, and the road is shot. There will be another $150,000 to $200,000 in POs to repair that, the worst of those sections, just this month. And then the total cost of fixing the road is going to be $1.6 million. So we're going to have to work with the legislature, try to make the case to get that funded so we can get Sunset Panther fixed. In the meantime, we're going to stabilize it. We're going to fix the worst of the potholes. We're buying new equipment so we can pothole better, because the existing potholes use cold patch, and these potholes aren't potholes anymore. They're whole sections of roadway. So we need a hot patch trailer. So we're spending $70,000 to buy a hot patch trailer. So the project itself, I mean, we've tried to work with ADOT to get them to stop. The contractor says that there's no law against hauling through town, so he's going to do it. I've checked on other towns that have laws that cover this, and it's basically Phoenix, Tucson, and Maricopa. Nobody has the law because it's a pain to administer, and we're too small. So ADOT has said they will pause hauling for 3 weeks, which is hopefully enough time to get our Panther Bridge finished, which is the next conversation. So, as to when the Queen Creek Bridge is going to be done, I have no idea.
So Todd, I haven't been up there for a while. They're nowhere near like pouring cement for footings.
They are doing some on the north side that they have completed. The south side, they're blasting that escarpment. And I don't know if you've been watching as you drive by, there's big holes in these mountains as they're blasting them, because there's a bunch of old, unmarked mining sites.
Right.
And same thing is now happening on the south side. So I don't know what they're going to do to solve these problems, but the blasting was supposed to be over almost 6 months ago. So,
well, you talk about that, but what worried me from the first time I saw the plans, one of the supports is practically in the creek, and I would think getting solid rock down there would be very difficult.
well, we're very familiar with the current conditions of that creek. We're dealing with our water restoration pipeline that goes through there, because that entire creek is undermined by mines, and it's completely fractured. So, I mean, it's an engineering challenge. Hopefully they figure it out, but it's going to lead to delays and then cost overruns and everything else. Which part of the reason that they are less receptive to helping us with our problems is that they're already over budget. They're already facing problems with the project. This is just another problem on top of their other 10 problems.
Thank you.
Any other
Any
questions?
other questions? All right, we'll go ahead and move on to C, discussion and update on the Panther Bridge project.
Panther Bridge is on budget and on schedule. It is scheduled to be opened in the first or second week of July, now looking more like second week. The delay is Arizona Water took a little while getting their procurement done to get their main replacement done that they're required to. Our contract says they're responsible for relocating the main, but they went through all their engineering and did their procurement, and by the bridge was almost done by the time they awarded the contract. So they awarded the contract, the same contractor's building the bridge, but the parts were 4 weeks out, and they only granted it about 2 weeks ago. So it's very tight timing on the pipeline. The current plan is to connect the pipe, daylight it out to the edge of pavement, and then reopen the road. So that's what we're working on. Again, they're doing gabions now. They're finishing the last of the concrete. If you went down and looked, you would see the rails have started to go on. It's very close to being finished. Cars are driving across it now. They're with their construction now, so it's actually a bridge. It actually meets the definition now. So it is very promising. Again, they had a 5-month window to get it done. I think we're in month 3 now. So they're right on time, right on budget. It looks fabulous. It's nice, smooth, well-built bridge.
So Todd, I know you've been real busy. I sent you a note about the BHP access where the trail gate is for the Lost Trail. I mean, obviously that no longer is an option. And
Now there is a plan to put in a fixed trail for that.
Well,
It's on the maps. So
yeah, I'm not worried about the trail. I'm worried about getting vehicles in that. And when I look at it, at least to me, the only way you're going to do it is go under the guy wires to the high tension tower there.
So why did we? It's a no motorized vehicle road. So why do
Yeah,
we?
but they, to take vehicles in for cleanups and fire breaks and stuff like that.
There are a half a dozen ways to get around it. I won't tell you all of the ways because we don't want
Okay.
everybody to know. But yeah, getting in there is not a problem.
Okay, never mind.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to D, discussion and update on 2026 fire break retreat and AmeriCorps NCCC.
Jim, why don't you do this one so I don't have to talk?
Well, I'm going to let you do the fire break part, but as you know, it looked like AmeriCorps had been completely defunded, and then we got a notification from them that they were inviting sponsors that they thought highly of to provide proposals. It's a really stripped down operation. Everybody that we had worked with before no longer is in AmeriCorps. And they're going to do all the training in Sacramento. They're going to have 10 teams on the eastern half of the United States, 10 on the western. And the timing is all different. But we're looking at what will be their second tour, and that would be 9 weeks starting the middle of January. And so we've talked to them. They know who we are. We plan on presenting a proposal. I need to sit down with our town manager and our number one priority is always the fire break. And so we need to figure out how much time we're going to dedicate to that. And then we have the ability to be flexible with loss and with Boyce Thompson Arboretum. But being 9 weeks, it may be that we cut one of those out depending on the needs of the fire break.
So the fire break update. The 2022 Panther Road treatment is the oldest fire break currently, and it's showing its age. It needs a retreat. If you go look at it, it's got lots of growth. So we'll probably go in, and that'll be its third retreat, I think, or second retreat. But that's a very densely grown area. It's down in the bottomland, and it grows up very heavily. And the mesquite and the Palo Verde have proven very difficult to get rid of.
I'm not sure, where are you talking about?
The 7.5 acres donated by Dr. Wilk.
Oh, yeah.
That was done again 2022, I think. 23, no, 22. And the other fire break is the one thing I wanted to do is we just finished 16 acres last grant cycle, and it was the other side of the creek, all the way through the creek itself, all the way around the US 60 park, and there was 1 acre left we didn't treat. It caught on fire yesterday, so it will be a lot cheaper to treat now. So if we have a crew going in and training them how to do their cutting there, would be probably a good win for all of us. And the fire was about the perfect level. It burned mostly scrub, and it didn't burn much of the canopy at all. So now's the time to go in and finish that sucker up. So that would be on my list. I would love to do the large fire break. The last retreat took a month. So, or no, 2 weeks.
You're talking about the one over by,
The 30 acres. The big one, all the way around town. So that one is the second oldest, and it was, I think, 2023, and it's been touched up once, but it needs one more. The first few retreats have to be fairly close together because there's a lot of growth right after you do it. But as you continue to reinforce, the canopy starts to take over and you have less work to do. But yeah, that one needs a retreat as well. So those are the ones that are the priority retreats. The Queen Creek itself, it's going to grow faster than most of them, but it's just finished. So it's got another year or so before we have to touch it, maybe 2.
so do you have an estimate of how many weeks you would want the team?
Probably need at least 4 weeks. I think we can get most of the work we want done in that time. If we kept them for 2 months, that would be totally doable too. But I think 4 weeks would be the minimum we'd want to use.
We'll talk.
All right, I'm all done with fire breaks.
Any questions? All right, moving on to item 3, discussion and update on phase 2 and 3 scoping of the multi-gen.
Okay, so the architectural plans are done completely on phase 2. We put those plans out to bid. The bid of just the structural, not counting electrical, came back at $2 million, which we didn't have. Part of the issue is that the architect rolled in phase 7 because phase 7 has it's in a lot of the similar spaces. It's like the second floor and other supporting spaces, but it's not. There's no money for it, so we took 7 back out. We decreased some of the scope. We took some of the things that, architects, if you show them a room, they tell you 5 ways it can be improved. But as evidenced by the room we're in, sometimes just moving in is just as good a solution. And the example up at the multi-gen is the space I'm using for my office. He had $20,000 worth of changes to.
Really?
The space for Mila's office, he had $40,000 or $50,000 in changes to. So we took all that out. A good portion of the cost was just scope creep.
So what should that scope, what is the bread and butter of that?
The bread and butter is the admin spaces on the ground floor, the
Okay.
bathrooms on the ground floor, the bathrooms in the gym, and the workout spaces in the gym,
Okay.
and a couple of the offices that are required to be upgraded. So that's what needs to be done, and we have started revising. It's looking like we're going to be under the $1 million mark for this phase with those changes, with all the stuff in. So we're on the right track.
Do we have the funding for that?
Oh yeah, we have 1.8 million left roughly, a little bit more, 1.9.
When does the, elevator come?
Elevators phase 3, which is the other item I was going to give you an update on. The original scope for that came back since I saw what happened in phase 2. I took a really sharp knife to that. I also said that we needed to go with a modular elevator system rather than a CMU block built elevator system. It's a little bit cheaper, but all of the other pieces that you don't have to do make it a lot cheaper. So it takes the cost of the elevator itself from about $350 down to about $250. So that's a big cost savings. The ramping and everything off that, we're going to do that as metal supports as opposed to building it on a big CMU base and everything. So that one's looking like it'll come in under budget as well. So we are on track to at least finish through phase 3. Phase 4 is the library. We don't have funding for that. There won't be enough money left. So we're going to have to fundraise for that. Phase, I think 5 is the senior center. Senior center we are planning to bootstrap. So we have all the kitchen equipment, which is the biggest cost. We're going to go in and do what we did for the Hive. I don't know if everybody's been to the Hive, but that was an entirely bootstrap project. We brought in, Rebuild brought some money, our crews did all the work. They redid the ceilings, did all the lighting, did all the HVAC ducting. All of that was done in-house. The floor, the paint, all that sort of stuff. And so we were able to get into that building for, if you count the electrical work that Resolution paid for the welding shop, we got into that for about $150,000. The original budget was $350,000 for the USDA funding, and it would have gone up once the architect got there. Bootstrapping, you're half the budget or less if you don't have to use USDA money, because they have so many requirements.
So Todd, to be clear, we're doing the library before we're doing the senior center, but we'll already have the kitchen done.
The short answer, no. We'll probably end up doing all the spaces for the senior center earlier because it's much lower bar.
Yeah.
We can bootstrap that.
Yeah.
So we'll probably change the order a little bit and work on the senior center over the next year and get it done. Get the commercial kitchen up to spec. It needs to have some minor work done to make new closet space and to reconfigure the bathroom. So it's 2 bathrooms, but that's all doable with our crews. So we may end up getting that one online faster than expected. But the big dollar item is the library. It needs a new roof, needs all new windows, and it needs an air conditioning system. So
yeah, that's big money.
So all that's $250,000. So we'll have to fundraise for it. I think it's doable, but we could be in the rest of the building and using it for and by October, which is the goal still, if we just mix up the order a little bit, get USDA out of our lives, spend the rest of their money and get them out of our lives, and then do the rest of it ourselves.
And just to be clear, our construction work is not going to prohibit having AmeriCorps living up there in January.
No, we are, for those who are not aware, we're having open gym every day. People are in and out of that building constantly. Resolution is going to use it for their MSHA training. It's already a living, breathing building. And
so you're happy with the air conditioning now?
Oh yeah, it's way more. It's over-engineered for the architects. To explain why, you can either buy a dedicated outside air conditioner, which would provide enough cooling for that space. The air conditioner would cost about $200,000, and you'd have to spend $300,000 to build an entire metal frame inside of the existing building frame to carry the weight of this monster. Or we just bought 8 air conditioners.
Yeah.
Those 8 air conditioners, if you add them all up, have enough outside air to meet the code. They have about 3 times the cooling you need for the space.
So you're running like 4 of them at a time?
They're set up to, they originally were set up to phase in. So, you know, you separate them by a degree, but only 2 were running and they were running all the time. So we've changed it so they're all about the same. So they kick on, you know, a little more regularly, but they don't run that much. I mean, you kick them off, they cool the space down, even with the fact that there's a lot of unfinished eaves and stuff on that building, so it's
Yeah.
leaking air like crazy. It still stays cool all the time.
Good.
And the floor, because there was damage to the floor, the ducting, when it was put in, was not put in properly. It leaked. The contractor, their insurance covered all the repairs, and because the edge of the floor was warped, they had to rip part of it up and replace it. But in order to make the finish match, they needed to resand and refinish the entire floor. So it now looks brand new. It is gorgeous. So we would never have been able to afford that $100,000 that we got just because somebody made a boo-boo. So it's been working out for us. I'm going to knock on wood for that.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? All right, item 6, summary of current events, committee members.
Well, I'll go ahead and start. We're getting ready, FBLA leaves to nationals tomorrow, and then FCCLA leaves next Friday, and we're excited and getting all the details finalized. So wish the kids luck. And the FBLA will be on the West Coast, and FCCLA will be on the East Coast in Orlando, Florida. So we're excited to represent at nationals. And then the youth council, working with the town in the Park and Rec, ready for the 4th of July. And I have had the pleasure to visit the Hive. I was a judge for the presentation for the kids that are competing this evening, and it's a diverse group of students, and they were absolutely wonderful. It was exciting to see and then the parents also came in and they brought other family members. It was so nice. The Hive is such a gem for our community. And then I also had the opportunity to visit the gym multiple times with some of our youth council members also, and former youth council member working there, and took pictures. And it's a delight to go into a gym and it be cool, because not even our high school gym is that, I don't even remember even it being that cool. So it was wonderful, and the amount of participation with the kids in our community is phenomenal. The kids left the open gym and then went and heard the kids present for the Hive. So we were a full house in that facility, and it was exciting. They got to see, by committing yourself and doing and getting involved in a STEM project like that they would also have the opportunity to earn an iPad. So it was quite the week of seeing good things going on with what's happening in the community, the parks and recs, and the town leadership doing a great job with providing the opportunities, and our partners and Resolution Copper for giving us the funding to be able to do all of this stuff is absolutely wonderful. And I think that's it on my part.
I just add, the mayor shared with me that I guess the woman that handles, from Apple, that handles work with the Hive, came and was just very impressed with Superior. I think it's just so important that we have options for our kids during the summer. And the Hive just is a beautiful space, and it's I think that what the town manager was saying about looking for ways to do things when you don't have the budget, pulling that space together so that could happen, that was a wonderful work on the part of the town. And, you know, Rebuild Superior, Resolution, everybody came together to get that space up and running, and it seems to be working out very well. And I think, honestly, one of the things that makes it work is there's always somebody up there to provide guidance and help. And so, good for young people, good for old people. I have nothing else to add.
All right, anything else? All right, moving on to item 7, scheduling the next meeting, CDC meeting, July 24th, 2025. Any questions about that? All right, moving on to item 8, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned at 9:30.
No,
6:30.
6:30.
Oh, sorry.
Get some sleep, Nathan.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
Take care,
Nathan.
Nathan.
I'll be East Coast time next week and I'm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not necessarily looking forward to